Stepping it up here, ladies and gentlemen, on what is the hottest form, hottest show, hottest piece of information you're going to find in terms of Alabama football news, notes, and information. I'll be yours truly, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, live in studios. And this right here is in my own words. And after discussing one Mac Jones from the previous topic and discussing my 5 things that I took from Southeastern Conference Media Days, Mac Jones was topic 3. We were going to tidy up loose ends by discussing wide receiver Devonta Smith and why he is so underrated. But we'll save that to start next week's edition of shows. As always, gotta get to the hot stuff first. And for those of you who have just stumbled upon what this show is and you're not quite sure or you don't quite understand what it means, in my own words, I've been covering Alabama football about to enter my 11th year for Touchdown Alabama Magazine. I've been a part of 8 fall camps. This is my 8th one. And for you die hard, for you tried and true, for you the fan that wants current Alabama, you don't care about the hoopla. You don't care about the other things that don't concern current Bama. If it's about Saban's assistants or just different external factors that has nothing to deal with what's going on with the current starting quarterback, with the current backup quarterbacks, with the current running backs, current wide receivers, current coaching staff, if it's not dealing with what's going on in this current program, you, the diehard fan, can give 2 cents about it. If that's you, if you are just solely hardwired on current Bama, this is your show, and I'm the person delivering you the information. Now, me personally, to me, as much as I love A-Day, as much as I love spring ball to me is a formality. It's about, you spending time during the A-Day activities. You bring your family, you bring your friends, your wife, your girlfriend, your children. You bring them to the A-Day game inside Bryant-Denny to enjoy the festivities, to enjoy the atmosphere. It's kind of a formality to me. But if you are the fan that wants to know who are going to be the guys that are going to start, step up, play ball, emerge, if you're the fan that wants that pee or get off the pot ordeal, who are going to be the guys that I can count on to start in the upcoming season, then that hot practice in the first week of August, simply known as the open practice, is for you. Now, a lot of fans would tell me, Steven, I don't see much difference between A-Day and the open practice in terms of the regular season. I beg to differ. I strongly disagree. If you look at A-Day in terms of the regular season, that's a 4-month differential. That's a 4-month separation. It's a big gap there. You know some things, but you don't know a lot of clarity, if you will, versus the open practice and the regular season. Talk 3 weeks. That's way more clarity. You see a whole lot more. You get the gist of, I like him, I really like him. He's kind of raw, but if he fine-tunes some things, he can get better. This guy needs a bit more time. In the open practice, you see more clarity. And in the open practice, the bigger picture really starts to take center stage. And I'm an open practice guy. I'm a fall camp guy. A couple of years ago, I was the one that singled out Devonta Smith, wide receiver, to be a big-time star, and he became that. So now I'm going to try my hand at predicting again, because at the open practice over the weekend, I saw 7 things that really stood out to me. 6 big ones, but the 7th one was also important. I'm going to put an asterisk by it because I want to see how much it grows, matures, and improves as we move on through this camp session here. But 7 things overall stood out to me. And as I'm running them across the screen here, the number one thing that stood out in the open practice, both coordinators for the Crimson Tide, Steve Sarkisian of offense and defense, Pete Golding. Both of these two young men know how important this stage is. They're coming in fresh. They are well organized. They are well detailed. Both of these men have something to prove, and they are coming out of the gate with the notion of this is a big-time program, and I'm about to show that I can run my respective position in a big-time program. In terms of Steve Sarkisian, first and foremost, for all the common Crimson Tide fans, if you could have been in that media room when Steve Sarkisian said this, you would have probably fell out on the floor and said, thank God we are so happy to have you back, brother. Steve Sarkisian, and this is a West Coast guy, grew up in California. But when he was asked the question about his offensive philosophy, you want to know what he said? He said, we have got to run the football. What? Shut your mouth. What you saying, Willis? He said, we got to run the football and establish the run game. And everywhere he has been in his coaching career, collegiate-wise, he's had a 1,000-yard rusher. Steve Sarkisian, close to the Tagovailoa family. Sarkisian wants to continue developing Tua and making this offense more prolific than what it was a season ago. But Sarkisian knows the balance to be more prolific, it starts with running the football and keeping a defense honest. And in Sark's credit, or to Sark's credit, he's always had a 1,000-yard rusher throughout his coaching career. Now, when he was at USC as a quarterbacks coach in the early 2000s, 2003 through 2005, 2002 through 2003, when he came back in 2005, he was around the likes of Reggie Bush and Lindell White, And then when he became the head coach at the University of Washington from 2009 to 2013, he had Chris Polk and Bishop Sankey, both 1,000-yard backs. And in his tenure as a head coach for those Southern California Trojans from 2014 to 2015, he had Javaris Allen. So he has been used to being around those 1,000-yard backs and coaching those guys. But Sark, well thought out, well versed, highly detailed. Those 2 years he took in the National Football League with the Atlanta Falcons really matured him. I'm excited what Sark is bringing to the table. And behind him, my brother Pete Golding had me about to run through a brick wall. I mean, this guy is about developing players. This guy is about rotating guys. This guy is about relationships. And some of the things that came out of his mouth come straight from the Nick Saban dictionary. He said things like attention to detail. He said things like we are about to get back to playing winning football. And everything that came out of his man's mouth, I was like, Nick Saban-esque, Nick Saban-esque, Nick Saban-esque. Young, fiery, passionate Nick Saban. That is Pete Golding, and he's ready to get the job done. I mean, both guys know. For Steve Sarkisian, this is a chance for him to win a national championship as a coordinator. The last time he won a title, he was a quarterback's coach. He knows how big this role is for him and getting his story back full circle. And for Pete Golding, this is a chance for him to prove he is the next Yoda. He is the next Han Solo. He is the biggest star or the next big star on the rise in terms of defensive minds. But both guys thoroughly impressed me and stood out to me during the media portion of the fan day and open practice. In terms of on the field, we get down to the next thing that stood out. Freshman defensive lineman Justin Eboigbe, the 4-star out of Georgia. This guy is something special at 6'4", 294 pounds. And I mean, Alabama signed 6 uber talented. 6 very special defensive linemen in this class when you dissect Antonio Alfano, DJ Dale, Byron Young, Ishmael Sopser, Braylon Ingram, and Justin Eboigbe. And of all 6 of those guys, people talk about Antonio Alfano. He big, he's strong, he a freak, he wants to be a Bama. People talk about DJ Dale. He reminds you of Deron Payne. He's got probably a faster first step than Q. Big time player. People talk a lot about Ishmael Sopser, and there's even some conversation about Braylon Ingram, though he's the smallest of the group. But Eboigbe flies under the radar, but he may become the best of the 6. In the first 2 days of fall camp, he has been spotted taking first-team reps with Raekwon Davis and DJ Dale, and people, that is huge, especially with Brian Ray out for a week or so with an ankle injury, hurt his ankle in the summer, had surgery prior to the start of fall camp. He will be back in time for the Duke game. He will be back in time to get some reps in for fall practice. But seeing Eboigbe get out here and get these reps early is critical. And at the open practice, especially when the rain came down from the heavens, this boy was on fire. I mean, getting it to the quarterback, big guy, quick feet, powerful hands, an array of pass rush moves. He found a way to affect whomever was throwing the football. Still a little bit raw, but with Brian Baker and Pete Golding working with him, Eboigbe, this kid's a stud. Really, really like him. He was the second thing that stood out to me. Moving on down to my third thing of 7 from the open practice, the youth at inside linebacker. Oh, my Lord, Jesus, be offense. These guys are incredible. The youngsters at inside linebacker. Future is bright. And I'm talking about Jalen Moody, Shane Lee, and Christian Harris. All 3 of those guys are future studs. Shane Lee, first and foremost, the young man from Maryland. He is a speeding bullet. He is highly athletic. The more I watch him, he is a young D'Amico Ryans. I know I had former Alabama receiver Matt Caddell on the show talking about Lee. He said that Lee is a young D'Amico Ryans. I agree with him. When the rain came down, you talk about he just found ways to knife himself into that backfield, affect the quarterback, dissect running plays. He's got the lateral quickness. He just knows where to be on the field. Highly instinctive. Really like Shane Lee. Jalen Moody, kind of the same deal. Lateral quickness, can light you up, can lower the boom, can read the passing lane. Still got to get a bit more refined in just getting guys lined up and calling plays. But the lateral quickness, the tackling ability, the coverage, it's all there for Jalen Moody. And in terms of Christian Harris, the young man from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that is the next stud at inside Mike linebacker. I mean, at 6'2", 244 pounds, he just looks like a field general. I watched him and Shane Lee both on the field at the same time. And while Shane Lee was attacking the play, Christian Harris was getting guys lined up. He was in his stance. He was reading the quarterback's eyes. He was directing the play, dissecting the play. He was patrolling traffic. I like this Christian Harris kid. The youth at inside linebacker, very, very good in the future. That was number 3. Moving on down to number 4, depth at running back. Bama's got some talent and Bama's got some versatility. You know what you're getting with Najee Harris and Brian Robinson, but Trey Sanders, speed, hands, agility, burst, power, total package will be in that Josh Jacobs / Kenyon Drake-esque role. Behind him, Jerome Ford, that brother has chiseled up. Big chest, big arms, big body, plowing through guys. He's got the power. He's got the speed. He's running guys over. He's added some diversity in his game. Really like Jerome Ford. And Keegan Robinson. He may be 5'9", $184, but he packs a big punch. Lower center of gravity, good hands, big arms, subtle burst, and he's got some patience. He allows those blocks to set up as he makes his decision, but once he hits that hole, it's the same result. Big time production. So Sanders, Ford, Keegan Robinson, the depth, a lot of versatility in that running back room. That was the next at number 4. At number 5 for me, the Alabama secondary, no-fly zone is back, baby. And I feel like this is a group under Charles Kelly that will rival the 2009 Alabama secondary, the best secondary under Nick Saban since he's been here in terms of production. That Alabama secondary that was headlined by guys like Mark Barron, Kareem Jackson, Justin Woodall, Javier Arenas, that group that totaled 24 interceptions and gave up a passer rating of 87.65, if I'm not mistaken. That group, that big-time group, this year's group under Charles Kelly and guys like Shaheem Carter, Jarrett Maiden, Xavier McKinney, Patrick Surtain II, Trayvon Diggs, Josh Jobe, and company, this group can rival the 09 group. I saw a lot of big plays on that field. Jarrett Maiden, Trayvon Diggs picking off passes, breaking up on the ball. Patrick Surtain II taking that next step in his development. Josh Jobe, the kid is a budding star. Confidence is growing, instincts is growing, ball skills high. It's just so much to be excited about when you look at the secondary. No-fly zone is back. Be ready. It's coming to show. That was the 5th thing that stood out to me. At number 6, all backup quarterbacks behind Tua Tagovailoa are good. All of them. Mac Jones, Tua Tagovailoa, Paul Tyson, all of them can spin that football. Mac Jones had some throws on Saturday. On last week, he was threading the needle in the rain, led guys with precision passing. There were some dropped balls, but it was not on Jones. He put the ball on the money. In terms of Tua Tagovailoa, did some good things, but want to see him do a better job of throwing the ball away when something's not there. Tends to overly rely on his athleticism. Got to do a better job of throwing that ball away, because when that pressure comes to you, you got to be able to protect yourself and play the next play. There were a lot of times where, he took some sacks, and when you're over-reliant on your athleticism, it forces you to try to make a play out of no play instead of just doing the proper thing at that time. And Tua at times does a little bit too much, and it gets himself into trouble. He's got to be able to throw the football away, but did some good things. And last but not least, Paul Tyson. When Nick Saban takes the chains off this kid, he had a touchdown pass in the open practice. I mean, he led John Mechie down the field on a post pattern that had me going, hallelujah. Perfect. Beautiful throw. Put it dead on the bacon. Paul Tyson, that kid, money in the bank. Love him. Quarterback room, really, really strong, which leads us to my 7th thing that stood out to me. Putting an asterisk by this one because I want to see this group really gel well together, and that's the offensive line. The beef is back up front, as we know this. Kyle Flood ain't playing no games, ain't taking no prisoners. Got a chance to speak with Matt Womack, redshirt senior on the offensive line. He said, look, dude, Kyle Flood is straightforward. He's black and white. You either got to get with it or get lost. And this offensive line ready to get with it, ready to be physical. This group potentially can be the best group that Nick Saban's ever had here. But I want to see all these guys work well and gel well together. If these guys mesh well, this is going to be a good group. So just rounding this off, the things that stood out to me, both coordinators, Sarkisian, Pete Golding, they're focused and ready to go. Justin Eboigbe, the freshman defensive lineman, really like him. Youth at inside linebacker at number 3, that's very strong. Depth at the running back position, number 4, a lot of versatility. Alabama secondary at number 5, no-fly zone, welcome back, baby. Number 6, the entire quarterback room, everybody's good. And then last but not least, number 7, Beef is back on the offensive line. It's got a lot of potential, but want to see this group gel together. That's going to do it here on this edition of In My Own Words, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. As always, folks, you download the TDA app for your iPhone if you're rocking Team Apple. Google Play Store if you got the Android phone, as we're hitting you with all things Crimson Tide football. You subscribe to TDAlabamamag.com for all the latest, and you subscribe to Touchdown Alabama Magazine on YouTube. Get with us, folks. Over 1 million video views, over 5,000 subscribers strong, and that's because of you, the faithful, loyal listeners. We appreciate you. Continue to stay tuned, locked on to what we have for you. Till next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. This has been In My Own Words. What's up, college football fans? You can catch the show every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Subscribe to get all the news, notes, and information covering your Alabama Crimson Tide.